Kia ora everyone. After 5:30 every night this week, we are going to look back at 2016, both the year in the big picture sense and also at Checkpoint's coverage of it. Politics, pretty remarkable really. Lots of things we were told wouldn't happen, did. Something came completely out of the blue, and that was John Key resigning. Bill English, of course, is now Prime Minister. Donald Trump became America's next president. The polls said that wouldn't happen. The polls were wrong. The polls also said Brexit wouldn't happen. Of course, we now know it did. And the year wasn't just dominated by politics. There were terror attacks in France. 84 people mowed down by a truck driver driven along the waterfront in Nice. A terrible terror attack that struck at the very heart of France's sense of itself. In Belgium, 32 people blown up and killed by suicide bombers at the airport and also the metro line. Rising British MP Joe Cox brutally murdered by a white supremacist, and a dream team of footballers and their support team killed in a plane crash on the way to the game of their careers in Colombia. David Bowie, Prince, Leonard Cohen, Muhammad Ali, George Martin, Gene Wilder and Ronnie Corbett were just some of the music, acting and supporting legends we lost at home. Ray Columbus, Bunny Walters, also gone. Also at home we had homelessness. Such a big story this year. We have covered it at length on Checkpoint. Contaminated water in Hawke's Bay. 8 men lost their lives in a fishing charter accident. More on that later. And we had earthquakes. On November 14, just after midnight, a magnitude 7 earthquake rocked North Canterbury, Kaikoura, Wellington and surrounds. Later that day, as the extent of the disaster was still being assessed, our reporter Alex Ashton and camera operator Bradley White flew to Nelson and attempted to reach Kaikoura overland.
We start our journey in Cheviot, the epicentre of Monday morning's quake. Just out of town in Parnassus, we stopped by the home of Rochelle Jordan.
Pretty scary on the first night, never experienced anything like that. Been through 2 earthquakes, one in Masterton and one in Nelson, and they were quite bad. They were up around the 6 mark, and that was many years ago. But this was really terrifying, you know. We've had a few here after Christchurch. The 6 that we got in the June, it went on for a bit, but it did stop. This just seemed to go on and on and on and just not stop. And trying to get out of the house where everything was falling over, and that was the hard bit.
The family's been living in a caravan since the quake hit.
Yeah, it felt a lot safer in this. It was shaky last night. We had some good shakes last night, but we knew nothing was going to fall on us, so we did get some sleep.
Heading north along State Highway 1, more evidence of Mother Nature's fury. So now we're on the Parnassus overbridge, which is slightly farther north of Cheviot, heading on State Highway 1 towards Kaikoura. You can see here, the road has just crumbled away. There's a drop of over 1 metre, and this is definitely the worst damage we've seen so far as we head farther towards Kaikoura. The road's still in use. There's a few cones separating off one of the lanes, obviously, with the drop. And somebody mentioned to me just before, they reckon a lot of the traffic is trucks delivering essential goods to farms who have been without what they need for a few days now. An hour or so farther north, we start to realise the extent of the damage to the roading. We've been driving north of Cheviot on State Highway 1 towards Kaikoura for about an hour now. We're going to stop and turn around because we're not going to be able to get much farther with the state of the roads. If you're watching, you'll be able to see here a huge ditch, probably almost 2 metres wide in some places. That's just fallen out of the road. It's literally peeling back here. We're not going to be able to get much farther. The damage is actually worse that way. What it makes you realise is the effort that's already gone into clearing out these roads. We managed to get here. And it also gives you an idea of just the sheer volume of work ahead of them. As we continued north, we ran into British tourist Kevin Smeaton, who was only just able to leave the area.
I never expected it. It scared me witless. It's not going to put me off. But, you know, is this a new era now? Have the people in New Zealand now got to worry about this for the future?
Along Kaikoura's coastline in the tiny settlement of Oaro, we ran into residents frustrated by a lack of communication.
We've heard nothing, communication, nothing coming in here at all. I know Kaikoura is in a hell of a mess, but there's just, you know, there are other people, and because of no communication, cell phone, everything down. You know, we've got cell phone coverage and that now, but helicopters, hundreds of them going past all the time. but not even a bottle of water, you know.
And we've had, obviously, the engineers working on the road, and we've had the helicopters going around, but you're the first people to actually come and say, how's it going? Obviously, for you, you need a story, but, we've actually had no communication at all. We felt quite stranded, no civil defence, no communication when, hopefully some ideas, whether water's coming back or electricity coming back.
There's settlement right on the doorstep of Kaikoura itself, but for the residents living there, it couldn't feel farther. So we're actually in Kaikoura now. You've got the coastline running along one side and the railway on the other side of the road. We can't go any farther because the slip actually blocks it there. The damage is pretty shocking around here. You've got rocks right onto the train tracks. We're going to have to turn around now and head back. But at this stage, you can see why the road is closed.
As we speak, it is still very difficult to get in and out of Kaikoura by road. And the businesses there, as we know, are having a very tough time during what would have been their peak season. Late last month, 8 men lost their lives after the fishing boat Francie capsized as it tried to cross the Kaipara Bar. 7 men, along with skipper Bill McNatty, died. There were 3 survivors. The men had chartered the fishing boat for around $80 each, hoping to bring home fish for their families. But the conditions were so rough on that Saturday that while McNatty crossed the bar, other fishing boats considered it too dangerous and stayed closer to shore. Tony Wallace owns the Kaipara Cat Fishing Charter Company. He told me nobody should have crossed the bar that day. He told me he had previously warned Maritime New Zealand about Bill McNatty taking risks. He said the deaths were utterly preventable.
I got audited by Maritime New Zealand at one stage, and we were going through the books at my house. And once we finished that, I said to the guy that was looking at the books, now there's somebody on the Kaipara you need to do something about. This guy is going to kill somebody. And he sort of said, oh, yeah, who's that? Oh, well, yes, we've heard the name. We're aware of the name. Previous to that, I had 2 inspectors on my boat, once again going through your books and things, because the book's the most important part, It doesn't matter if your boat's sinking as long as your books are all right. And Bill went past, and I said to these guys, that's the guy you guys should be spending time with. He needs sorting out. He is going to kill somebody. And they just sort of go, oh, yeah, but it's pretty hard to police, and no, it's very awkward to do that. And I said to them at the time, yeah, it'd be just like the bloody boat down south, the Dream Rider. Everybody dies, there's nobody left, so you start suing the bloody wife and ripping to her.
So who were you talking to, Tony? Did you say this to Maritime New Zealand? Who were you talking to?
I said it to 3 of their, shall we call them inspectors? Guys that come and make sure that my T's are crossed, my I's are dotted and things like that.
And this wasn't professional rivalry because you're both operating out of the Kaipara. This was a genuine and sincere concern about the safety of passengers on Bill's boat.
Yes, indeed.
Can we talk about the conditions on the boat? Now, we don't know what happened in the sea, and so it's absolutely essential we don't jump to any conclusions. But one man who was washed up on shore seemed to have a life jacket on each arm. The 2 others who were winched in by chopper, there's just uncertainty about the situation with life jackets. Would they have been wearing life jackets coming over the bar in that kind of weather? Would you expect them to have had life jackets on?
I would have made it compulsory. I wouldn't have attempted to cross the bar unless, especially in those conditions. Man, we're talking bloody atrocious conditions. I wouldn't have attempted to do anything near the bar. I mean, we were well up inside the harbour, and it was, we only had a few minutes to go, so I wasn't too concerned about the weather. Once we changed angle, all that sort of, like I said earlier. But in that situation, that skipper, not only should he have been wearing a jacket, but every man on board, without a doubt. I mean, it's just common sense. What's the matter with the man? Jesus. Yeah, it's bloody awkward, John. It's bloody awkward. Drives me nuts.
What drives you nuts? What is the thing that drives you nuts, Tony?
The frustration of the whole situation. Those bloody boys there, they put their total faith in the skipper, and he f***ed it up. And I don't know why he f***ed it up. I don't know why he would want to actually go over the bar in those conditions. There's no logic to him doing that. There really isn't. oh, hang on a minute, we'll toss the coin and see if we're ever going to get back. And that's exactly how it was.
What was it? Was the weather so bad that it was a coin toss? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, indeed. Indeed. Maybe when he went out, it would have been debatable, but when he was coming home, there was no doubt about it. That wind had really got up. He's got a boat that does, shall we say, 8 or 9, maybe 10 knots on a good day. The tide, when it's leaving the bloody Kuiper out on the heads there, it often gets to 7 knots. So he's coming in against the tide at a surplus of 2, 3, 4 knots. I don't know. And then with the wind's, the tide's still running out, and the wind coming in makes the waves stand up. It's just, just incredible. Incredible that he would even think that. I did hear a rumour that he rung for advice from someone, and that person said to him, go to Australia. It's safer. In other words, stay out. Don't come in. He'd still have to be out there now. Maybe they'd have to get a helicopter and lift his crew off. But they'd be lifting him off alive. He should never have come in. He should never have bloody well gone out. This is, it's so annoying. It's so absolutely annoying.
Are you off to see the cops? Are you going to go and talk to somebody about this?
I feel I have to, because all the people that are talking so far are being too PC. They're being too polite. The fact of the matter is the skipper is the skipper, and he is solely and wholly responsible for the situation. And there was 6 boats down there. Bill was one of them, and he was the only clown that went across the bar.
There was a lot of talk this year about hospital meals. Checkpoint's devoted a lot of time to covering the story. In October, we revealed the final savings from a controversial nationwide hospital food contract would fall at least $110 million short of what was pitched to district health boards. The sales pitch was about money saving. We revealed it was going to be so much less. The contract was awarded to the Compass Group and was initially projected to save between 150 and 190 million over the next 15 years, but it had to be adopted by all 20 DHBs for that to happen. By October, only 6 had done so. There had been uproar and protests around the country about the quality of Compass's meals, which are produced in Tauranga and trucked frozen throughout the country to hospitals and Meals on Wheels customers. During the year, we spoke with Compass itself, Dunedin Hospital patients, and Invercargill Mayor Tim Shadbolt. We dig deep into the papers and the sales pitch. But then our reporter Alex Ashton met Brian Goulding. Brian is a Meals on Wheels volunteer in the South Auckland suburb of Pukekohe. He told us the food he was delivering to elderly customers was so bad he'd lost half of them because the meals were soggy, had decreased in size, and were simply going uneaten.
Well, 4 years ago, when I started delivering Meals on Wheels, you go around and you could see the meals in the container, and they were good meals. They were cooked up here in our local hospital, which we've had for years, maternity and old thing, and it's a rehab unit now, and they've always been great meals. And if you want to have a feed before you go on delivering meals, because you get hungry just looking at them. And then July last year, late in July, they started. Somebody said, oh no, we're going to make them frozen meals in Auckland. We bring them out here. The local people at the hospital and the cooks up there, all they do is bung them in a big oven and heat them up. And when we started seeing them, they come out in packets like that, you'll see later, with the top on. You don't know what they get until they get them home. And the quality has deteriorated so bad that we're delivering just under half of what we were doing in July last year. In August, they just dropped off 20 or 30 a month, right down where we used to deliver 18 or 20 on each run. Now we're delivering 7 and 8.
And why is that? Is that because of the quality?
The quality, and people they're not all dying, don't worry about that. The people are just saying, well, no, I'm not eating this rubbish anymore. It's dropped off since the last figures I got here. The people are saying, no, the vegetables, when they're prepared in Auckland or wherever they're prepared, the vegetables are good. Okay, they're put in there. It's the processing of that. They freeze them up there. They bring them out here, they throw them in the freezer up here at the hospital, and all the ladies do up here, big-time cooks, put them in a big oven, heat them up, hot as hell, and we take them out and deliver them. There are certain diabetics that have got to ration their meals out. They have the amount of breakfast in the midday, and then they've got to have a good meal at night time, which is this meal. So they naturally put it in the fridge and then heat it up at night time. Now, chicken and stuff like that, fish is a very rare thing. It's always just meat. There's no variety. The biggest complaints we got today was no variety, and the preparation of the meals is not good. Here's our hospital up here with beautiful ovens, beautiful people. I was in there for 2 weeks, and I know what it was like to eat that food up there.
And the other thing, Brian, just sorry to interrupt you, but the other thing you're talking about was the size of the meals as well. So we just weighed this one before, and it was about 350. What were they before?
Well, when they came over, the meal's always up there. Now, I don't want to incriminate any people up there, but I used to say to them, are these meals as big, when we first started, are these the same size meals as you fellas used to supply? And they said, oh, yeah, I think so. So I got one before I delivered it to the people that I know. I've known a lot of these people for years. I've known them since I was a kid. And I brought it home and weighed it on my little scales there, 700 grams, 650 grams, and all that sort of thing. Now, these ones, I go up there to deliver them a few months ago, and I thought, heck, these are a bit different. So I bring one home, 350 grams, half size. I ring the hospital and say, hey, what's happening? Don't worry, there's plenty of protein. We've had all these examined. There's protein in there and all that sort of jazz. A smart aleck on the other end said, no, we know what we're doing. I said, yeah, well, I've got a cat here. I feed a cat food on the bag. It says full of protein. You know, cat food's got protein too.
So you think the quality's down, the size is down, people are unhappy, orders are dropping off. What do you want to happen?
I would like to see go back to the local hospital here, which is sitting up the hill, and give the people the same meals as we have in the hospital. They cook beautiful meals, not flashes, no luxury living, but good basic carrots, spuds and onions, pumpkin, all that. We grow this stuff here. And they still buy it fresh here for the people that live here. Now, why can't these old people sitting in their homes by themselves, some of them, they only see us people today delivering meals, why can't they have the same meals as if they were in that hospital up there? People are going, that I know of people that are told by their doctor, one particular lady, I think she's in having a hip operation done now, because she has had neighbours and family feed her greens. Her doctor told her, you've got to eat more greens. Eat more greens. How the hell can I? I'm getting Meals on Wheels. Made that decision to freeze the meals in there, and they're not flash frozen, quick frozen like Watties and all that. Whoever made that decision to do that, well, would have an IQ level of a half-sucked aniseed ball, and that's my opinion. So that's not good. It's not good tuck.
One of the most compelling eyewitness interviews we did this year was with a woman called Grace Ann Morrow. On July 14th, Grace Ann, who's from Texas and was visiting the French seaside city of Nice, enjoying a fireworks display to celebrate Bastille Day, was there when a 19-ton truck driven by a terrorist ploughed its way through the crowd, killing 86 people and injuring more than 400 others. Initially unaware of the attack, Grace Ann filmed the scene and then described what she was witnessing to us.
People were just, it was like this eruption of panicked people pouring out of the narrow streets, you know, just screaming bloody murder, completely confused, terrified. And I didn't even, and at that point I had gotten separated from my aunt and uncle, so I didn't know where they had went. It's kind of inexplicable.
And heartbreaking, because what you see is so ordinary and then so wrong. I mean, in your pictures there are parents pushing babies in buggies. You know, there are little kids, there are people in shorts and T-shirts. This was such a nice family night, wasn't it?
It really was. It was, for this event to happen, it's completely paradoxical to what the night was all about.
And did people know what was going on? Were the people who were running just running because other people were running? Everyone was just fleeing something, were they?
Exactly. I mean, it was comparable to, this might sound juvenile, but it was a scene from a movie, from like a zombie movie. I mean, people were just running. I mean, you could put a horde of zombies behind them and it would fit the scene, because people were completely running from this opposite direction of what had happened. I mean, nobody knew what was going on. Everyone knew that they just had to get out of there.
What had the night been like?
Oh, it was very positive. I mean, people were enjoying themselves. The way Nice celebrates things is very lively, family-oriented, music-oriented. I mean, these events go on all night. People come out of their houses to celebrate for 12 hours straight. I mean, the whole promenade des Anglais, which is a very popular place to go for events like Bastille Day. There was musicians lined up for the jazz festival. There was little kiosks for giving cotton candy. Kids were buying little toys, and everybody was taking photos, and a lot of people were there. I mean, unsurprisingly, the streets had been closed off to transfer to cars, so that way, everybody could come out and just freely walk about and enjoy themselves.
And the people would have been a mix, one imagines, lots of locals but also foreign tourists, I suspect?
Yes, exactly.
It's hard to understand, isn't it, Grace Ann? One is making assumptions that this is IS, and we know at some level what drives them, but the particular act of driving a truck into a crowd of people who have just had that kind of night, do you even begin to understand that? I don't,
and that's why I'm having a really hard time comprehending what just happened. I've heard people say 30 dead, or how many is it now? I'm sorry, I'm not.
It's more than double that. It's possibly over 70 now.
I have so many friends who live here, and their families. I just really hope everyone I love is okay.
Let's look now at the water contamination crisis in Havelock North. It dominated the headlines in August after more than 5,000 people became ill with Campylobacter. The crisis lasted for several weeks after the town's bores became contaminated. The Hawke's Bay Regional Council announced it was prosecuting the Hastings District Council for breaching resource consent, and an inquiry was launched. That's ongoing, of course. In the days that followed, as people were hospitalised and shops and schools closed due to illness and a lack of fresh drinking water, we spoke with businesses who were really feeling the pinch.
My name is Emma Dawson. My husband and I own Cherry Grove Childcare Centre, which is a childcare centre in Havelock North, where we have 80 children enrolled each day. I also own a law firm in Hastings called DK Legal. Both our businesses, both the law firm and the childcare centre, have been affected by the water problems here in Havelock North. I've obviously been off work, my law firm, for 10 days with sick children, and a husband ended up in hospital.
My name is JOANIE Williams, and I have two businesses with my husband in Havelock North. Origin Earth is a dairy processor, processing white milk into market milk and a range of cheeses and yoghurt. We also have a cafe and tasting shop called Chalk and Cheese. The impact on our business, absolutely significant across both sides of our business. We limped through,
my name's Paul GREANEY, I'm the village butcher. We've been dealing with this water issue now for going on 12-14 days. It's impacted our business greatly. We've had to not only throw out literally thousands of dollars worth of products that we made, and then found out the water was contaminated. So water goes into like sausages, silver sides, hams, things like that. And we were of the understanding that the water supply was secure. And as soon as we found out that it wasn't, we had to do the right thing for our business and for our customers, and that was to bin that product.
Okay, so Damon Harvey, I'm a Director of Attention Marketing PR. And the impact really has been on staff. So we've had 3 staff down, including myself.
We built our business around small goods, sausages, and we cannot make them until we get the all clear that the water is safe to use. Our machinery runs on water pressure. It's quite an old machine, but it's, up until now it's been very reliable. So we're turning away 30, 40 customers a day, not having the products they need, and that's $1,000 a day.
Childcare centre, we've had a number of staff away sick either themselves or with their children, and our roll dropped to between 20 and 30 children most days of last week.
I'm annoyed, frustrated. You know, the boys turn up to work going, you know, am I getting paid tonight? You know, wages going through. I've got to reassure them that it's okay, you know, we're going to make it work. And there's just no answer, you know, like we get told that our water's going to be chlorinated for the next 3 months. We can't put chlorinated water into a sausage. It's going to taste like a swimming pool.
3 of us have been down sick over the last week, and also family members. I was down for 2 days, a staff member for 3 days, and another director of the business down for 3 days, and then we've also had to look after our children who have been off school for a week.
I am installing a close to $6,000 water purification equipment this afternoon, because it's either make 22 people unemployed, affecting 22 families that are already struggling enough in our region, or it's suck it up and find a way to fight through it.
In both businesses we are using bottled water only. We're not relying on the council water at all until such stage as they can assure us that there's no cryptosporidium or giardia in the water.
I've had no contact from the council. I got 1 letter on Saturday, 8 days late, saying advise your customers of this.
How much longer can you keep going on like this, Paul?
Not long. If we don't get the support back and the customers get the trust back that the water's okay, that the products are fine, you know, it's a matter of weeks, not months.
We have 4 staff at the childcare centre who don't have any sick leave available to them. The government has said that there's financial assistance available to them. However, I've phoned WINS and it looks like they have to take more time off work to visit the WINS office. They need to, it's likely that they're only going to receive a loan that needs to be repaid. These people aren't in the financial situation to be able to repay a loan.
All we're asking is to survive. All we're asking is to actually make ends meet and not come out the other end with an unmanageable debt loading.
What would help from them?
All we need is clean water that we don't have to boil.
And that's it from us for tonight. Please join us after the 5:30 headlines tomorrow for more of A Year in Review and some of the highlights from Checkpoint. So from me, John Campbell, Rowan and the rest of the Checkpoint team, have a very lovely night.